Yeah, so it's basically Snap is just testing and kind of seeing what works, building the ecosystem now. They have 203 million daily active users, and really, what I really look at is just North America and maybe Europe a little bit too. We can kind of talk about this a little bit later, but most of Facebook's users come from outside of markets where they can actually generate ad revenue. Most of their ad revenue comes from places like the U.S., Canada, the U.K., France, Germany, maybe Australia, Japan, South Korea. Those are a lot of countries, but they're a very small segment of all the total addressable people with internet that can't support an advertising driven business model.
But to push back on that, that's why I think people don't get Snapchat, because this is the same trend of lagging monetization of attention. Attention will be ahead of monetization of that attention. And so
Oh, yeah.
I think getting attention in these foreign markets is very smart, even if it doesn't make economic sense yet. And that is, I think, essentially my bull case on Snapchat is this is an asset with 203 million people checking it every day. That's a shitload of attention. And we just haven't seen the monetization catch up to that attention. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. So jumping back into that, Facebook has a ton of users all over the world. They have a lot in the developed markets, the places where you can make money today on an advertising model. Snapchat has a similar size user base to Instagram in all these different markets. If you actually unpack, if you don't look at the aggregate, I don't know what Instagram's number is. Maybe it's a billion now. But if you actually look at the US, you look at places like Germany, like the UK, like France, you look at Canada, those are really the big five. If you actually compare the size of Snapchat and Instagram, it's pretty similar, the number of users that they have. And that's where all the money is going to be made in advertising, probably in commerce too. And at least the margins. You can probably make a huge business serving the billions of people that are in places like Africa, India, but you need more users. The margins are going to be slimmer because maybe it's the same price or the same cost on the infrastructure side. But if you can charge someone in the US 10 times more, that's just pure cash flow that you just get to reinvest in the business, give to shareholders, et cetera. So when you look at Facebook's, if you break down all Facebook's numbers, most of their cash flow comes from the US. The average revenue per user, the ARPU in North America is like 10 times higher than the rest of the world,
yeah,
which includes places like Bangladesh, all the places in Africa. If you look at kind of like GDP, or sorry, income per capita, people have a lot less disposable income there to spend on buying things from ads that they see in their Facebook feed. And Snapchat has, I think, an opportunity to do basically the same type of thing where they get similar numbers on an ARPU basis that Facebook sees, where you're making, I think Facebook's like $147 per user in North
per
America
year,
per
right?
year. Yeah, which is pretty
Crazy.
crazy.
And it's booming, like it's still growing.
Yeah, it's still growing. And that's the thing. Facebook's North American business hasn't grown very fast since they went public. It's grown at maybe 2 or 3% a
Like
year,
user
like
wise.
user wise, yeah.
But
But
revenue's been
ARPU, it's been just insane because it
yeah.
has been ramping up because
And
they built something that advertisers could use, and advertisers like, oh, we can get someone to buy our towel on Facebook and the Facebook newsfeed. So we're going to pay Facebook all this money to acquire customers that are going to buy these towels that we created, and
yeah.
and
Well,
it works, and Facebook makes a ton of money from it.
totally. And Gary Vee has like this amazing sort of like I'm like on it like cost per click sort of analysis that he's like, if you comp the amount of attention Facebook's selling versus TV, which is like an 80 billion advertising market, like we still have a ton of room to go to
So much
monetize
room,
it.
yeah.
And so you even think about how much money Facebook's making, and we're still saying, oh, even Facebook's monetization is lagging their attention.
Could be higher.
Snapchat is
Yeah.
like the infant version of that. So,
Yep.
and I think the point you were kind of making is like, look, like they basically already have the same people for the same amount of time as Facebook does in North America and Europe, which is where Facebook's making all their money. So
Yep.
and Facebook's making what, 10, 20 billion in earnings on those people. So
Yeah.
if and maybe this is where we could get into the exciting part of Snap, which is we're looking at what, a 20-25 billion dollar market cap company. So Facebook is a 500 billion plus company, and we're talking about how they're copying Snapchat, how their user base in developed markets isn't that much bigger, yet they're valued 20 times more. And this is the
Yeah.
part that excites me about Snapchat is I'm like, wow, if this is going where we're talking about, then I think this is a very clear path to several $100 billion in market capitalization. And that's, I'm guessing, what excites you about, not saying it'll go up that much, but just that's the potential for this type of business. And it looks like they're laying the puzzle pieces to get there.
Yeah, and I think it would be a little bit insane to say that Snapchat should be valued at more than Facebook is. I don't think that's the case. But like you said, you made that analogy, that comparison. Facebook's valued at 500 billion, Snap's at 20 billion. You back out the cash on Snapchat's balance sheet. You consider that they have a bunch of operating loss carry forwards that are worth something for reducing taxes. I think, and this was more so the case like a couple months ago, back in December. Like they were valued. If you backed all those things out, you could buy Snapchat. Like the core business was worth like $5 billion at the depths. That's pretty insane. And when you think of most of their costs were basically just their server bills that they were paying to Amazon and Google, it made a lot of sense for someone like, let's say, Google to just acquire Snapchat. When Google acquires Snapchat, those expenses that are showing up on Snapchat's income statement are just the costs that Google is expensing in CapEx to like run its whole business and run Google Cloud. Those mostly go away. The numbers are going to look different, but Snapchat even is probably profitable if Google acquires it. So that's why, like back in December, I put my entire IRA in Snap. It wasn't in December; it was in
Wow.
January. But I put my whole IRA in Snap because I was just like, this is just insane how cheap this is with the opportunity set that they have in front of them.